Hello, everyone, and welcome to semester one of physical science with Amazing Grace Virtual Academy. It's great to have you guys here. This is a welcome video that you can watch, maybe the first day of course or before. This video is just going to walk you through a little bit of the course on Moodle and what to expect every week in class. So my name is Elizabeth Bamer, and I will be your instructor. What you see in front of you is the homepage for this course. So just for semester one, this is physical science. Right underneath that first picture, we have an announcement section. And this is where I will post a weekly announcement, kind of setting you up for the work that week. I will also post in this section the recordings that I will be doing of our live classes. So be sure you check this announcement section every time you log on, just to make sure you're getting all important information. The next section down is the instructor's office forum. So again, here's my welcome video. My name is Elizabeth Bamer. I hold an office hours via Zoom every Thursday at 12 p.m. Central Time. Or if there's another time you want to meet to chat about something, or if you have questions, please let me know and we can set up another time. And I would be happy to meet with you via Zoom. I also have a phone number that you can text or call at any time. My email is probably the best way to reach me as well. So keep that in mind. You can post questions in there, but everyone will see them. And then I have just a little welcome activity discussion forum. So if you could actually make a discussion post kind of introducing yourself in this forum, that would be great. So in this welcome activity, I want you to tell me who you are, where you're from, and where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years? And then what's your favorite Bible verses? So again, my name's Elizabeth Bamer. My picture is below. I live with my husband and 4 young children that are all in this picture in Quito, Ecuador, where my husband is a world missionary with the Wisconsin Synod. We love living in Ecuador. My kids are growing up bilingual, and I'm still teaching remotely for several U.S. institutions in biology and chemistry. I teach with Amazing Grace Virtual Academy, but I also teach at several other community colleges or online schools for the high school and college level, as well as tutoring a little bit. And my favorite Bible passage comes from the Great Commission. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I've commanded you. And this is my favorite part, and surely I'm with you always to the very end of the age. And I hope you all feel Jesus' comfort, that he's always with you. He'll help you get through this class and your other studies, and he'll eventually take you to your heavenly home. Then, so please post your own discussion under mine in that welcome activity. And then I just have one other discussion forum just for general questions. So then a little bit about general course information, a look around. So this will take you to my welcome video. And then right under that, where I will post my welcome video, it'll look a little different than this. I have my Zoom link to our weekly Monday class calls. So we will have weekly class calls via Zoom on Mondays at 11:30 Central Time. And these class calls are non-mandatory, and I will be recording them, and I will post that recording on probably by Monday evening. So, but I will meet with you live for those of you who want to meet live. Otherwise, I will post that recording by Monday night for you to watch. These weekly Monday class calls, I'm going to kind of take you through the work that you'll be doing that week, and maybe give you some pointers for how to divide the work between the days, and just give you a reminder of the assignments due that week. So feel free to click that link and join us on Mondays at 11:30 Central Time. Keeping in mind, we'll have our first Monday class call on Tuesday because class begins on August 29th, which is a Tuesday. And I will post another announcement about that as it gets closer to class. So that is a kind of a first look. Here's a link to your course syllabus that you can get off the Amazing Grace Virtual Academy website. So feel free to work through that course syllabus. We're just getting through 6 units in semester 1 and the second 6 in semester 2. The big thing here is I have a link to your textbook, and it's a free online textbook. You have to create an account, but it will be free for you. We will be reading or I'll have you read selected chapters in this textbook. So just keep that in mind. We won't be getting through the whole textbook. We'll be reading selected chapters. There will be other materials available in the Moodle page. It's great if you have Microsoft Word for completing some of these worksheets. And then just to be able to take a picture of your worksheet, you can upload a photo or you can upload a file directly in terms of your homework. And it's also helpful if you have a Gmail email account to do some of the activities as well. And I'll show you a little bit more about that. You can see how we kind of break apart your assignments. We have homework, we have labs or other activities, tests and quizzes, kind of a final project, a final exam, and then just weekly discussion posts. And you can see the grade scale there, which is the same for all classes. Then we get to the curriculum guide and assignment schedule. So how I set up this course is I go week by week, and each week is called a module. So for example, this first week of class is called Module 1, and it stands for August 29th to September 3rd. All weeks start on Monday morning and end on Sunday at midnight Central Time, except for this first week, which will start on August 29th, which is a Tuesday. And next week, we'll kind of skip Monday because it's Labor Day. But in general, if you can kind of start to get your head wrapped around this idea that all weeks begin and all modules begin on a Monday morning, and all assignments for that week and that module will be due Sunday at midnight. So just keep that in mind. You can look through the curriculum map, the assignment list, seeing the units we'll get through. I have, sections listed here of chapter 1, for example, in the textbook. And then when we get to another unit, when we talk about an intro to physical science, we're still kind of in the chapter 1. And then when we get to unit 3, for example, when we go through force and motion, we jump up to sections in chapter 7 in the textbook. So just keep that in mind. The units are listed, and then I have you read kind of different chapters in the textbook for them. But for each week, for each module, and you'll get the hang of this in a couple of weeks, I'll have you read, portions of that textbook. You'll work through an interactive notebook guide, and I'll show you what that looks like. You will take and submit notes that correspond to the lessons that are listed. You'll complete a weekly discussion, which is some sort of question or problem that you might have to do a little research on, where you have to post, an answer to the question, and then you have to respond to 2 classmates or an instructor by the end of the week. There will always be some sort of activity or lab to do every week. And then I have some review questions that are through a website called BlueKit. And BlueKit is a website that's free to use. You might have to make an account, but I have kind of set questions linked to every section that we'll go over as a way to review. And then at the end of every week or every module, there will be a test or a quiz based on that information in that module. So for example, for this first week, there'll just be a simple quiz on lesson 1.1, which is the method of science. But then when we get to the end of a unit, so for example, at the end of next week, we'll have a test, which might be just a little bit longer. You might see some previous quiz questions in that test. So this test will be on all of those sections in unit 1. And if you look ahead, you see a quiz on lesson 2.1. Module 4, week 4, you have a quiz on lesson 2.2. And then once we get to the end of unit 2, we'll have a test on that entire unit. So this kind of gives you a curriculum map and assignment list. But another way to look at that is if you work through, you can see how I've set up the class into all the modules. So you'll see the module, the heading, and then the dates for that module. And then if you open up the module, you'll see the assignments list, the learning materials, and then the activities and assessments that are due for that week for that module by that Sunday at midnight. And every week will be laid out the same way. The discussion rubric. So I mentioned that every week you'll have to answer a question in terms of a discussion forum. You'll have to, answer an initial post, which I ask you to get in by Wednesday at midnight, and then 2 reply posts where you reply to a classmate or an instructor by Sunday at midnight. And this is all in Central Time. So I give you, 10 points for this, and my little rubric is here. You get 2 points if both initial and reply messages are posted by Wednesday and Sunday, respectively. 2 points when you interact 2 or more times with me or other students. And then 3 points if you introduce new ideas, help develop ideas, ask a question that stimulates further discussion. And then 3 more points if you show me evidence of clear critical thinking, that you were, really maybe struggling or analyzing this question, and then formulating your answer well. So that's my discussion rubric, and that's how I will grade you every week on those discussion questions. All right. All other grades, and I'll show you this in a little bit. So let's just move to module 1. This is the method of science. Here are the dates. Everything you see under here will be due by Sunday, September 3rd at midnight. You should read through sections chapter 1 in the physical science textbook, which I link here. So this is what your physical science textbook looks like. After you create an account, it will link you to this. And we're kind of working through chapter 1 in the first 2 weeks of class. So you can read through sections in chapter 1 that correspond to the subjects that we're going over. For example, we're talking about the method of science in this section. We'll talk a little bit about the scientific method. So you can read over the sections in the textbook that talk about the scientific method in that chapter 1. Then you can also work through the Unit 1 interactive notebook guide. And you'll notice here, when you get this link, it'll link you to all the unit guides for the whole year, but you just are working through Unit 1. And you'll notice that we're taking 2 weeks to get through Unit 1. So this first week of class is just the method of science. And these are interactive notebooks. So you can scroll through the pages. And as you pull this open, you can go to the slideshow view. But if you keep it just open like this, you have some activities to work on. And for this week, we're just talking about the method of science. So we're really just talking about this slide. And this interactive notebook guide is for you to it's kind of a way to give you some hands-on activity to practice this material. There's a link on the right side of the screen here to a YouTube video of another person teaching this particular topic. And there's a link to a different textbook if you want to read up from her textbook as well. So this kind of interactive notebook guide, I won't be grading, but this is how you can work through the material. And when we have our live classes, this is kind of how I'm going to be managing our live class times, which again, I will record. They're non-mandatory, but our live class times, I'll kind of work us through this notebook together. You can work on it on your own, but that's how I will kind of take you through a lot of this material. So this is the Unit 1 kind of guide for the first 2 weeks, because the first 2 modules, the first 2 weeks are just focusing on Unit 1. And this first week, we're just talking about the method of science, where we go through the scientific method, and we talk about scientific law and scientific theory. As you work through this unit guide, you'll notice the next slide, slide 4, is standards of measurement. There's a different YouTube video to watch, another link to a textbook, and all of these are interactive, so you can fill in your own responses to help you study this material. So next module, so use this Unit 1 guide to work through this week as well as next week, and I will use our live class time to take us through this as well. So that's what the unit guides look like. And again, you don't have to submit those because we're going to be kind of working on them together in our live class times, and they're for you to use as a part of your learning resources. What you do need to do and submit are these lesson notes. So take and submit lesson notes each week. So again, this links to all the guided notes for the year. And if you pull up the Unit 1 notes, you'll see that there's kind of the 3 lessons here. There's the method of science lesson, the standards of measurement, and then graphing lesson. And again, for this first week, the first module, we're just going over the method of science. So what you need to do is you can print these out, you can type in and then upload a file, or you can upload a picture of your written out notes. But so I give you this guided note sheet. And what I want you to do is, as you're working through, watching the lectures or working through that notebook, you fill out your own notes, and it gives you some guided prompts as you're making your notes. Use these guided notes kind of like you're making your own study guide for the test of each unit. So again, this is the entire Unit 1 guided notes section. But for this first week, you'll notice you just have to do the method of science section. And then the next module, you'll see that what will be the standards of measurement section and the graphing section. So I hope that makes sense. I have all the unit guides listed here, but we might spend 2 or 3 weeks working through each unit, and you only need to take and submit notes for those sections of that week's module that we're working with. So read the textbook, work through the interactive notebook guide, which is kind of the activity portion that you don't need to turn in. We'll work through that with our live classes, taking and submitting your lesson notes, completing weekly discussions. And your first weekly discussion, I'm just going to pull this up right now. It's down here under the activities and assessment. This is the Module 1 discussion forum. What you need to do is provide a question or problem that you are interested in investigating. So this week, we're going to be learning about the scientific method. And I want you to come up with your own problem that you want to research or investigate. And when you're doing that, think about, is your question researchable? In other words, can your problem or question be answered using the scientific method? So you need to post an initial post by Wednesday at midnight, and then respond to 2 classmates by Sunday at midnight. So I give you an example. So my question that I want to answer using the scientific method is, what type of toothpaste works the best for preventing cavities? That's my question that I want to answer. And then an example to how you could maybe reply to a student who asked a question like this is you could ask them, well, what brands will you test? Are there any other factors affecting those who get cavities? Will you test old people or young people? So we're kind of using this discussion to test out those scientific method steps. But for your initial post, I just want you to come up with a problem or a question that you want to investigate. And then in your reply posts to your classmates, ask them questions about their problem. So that's the Module 1 discussion forum, but every week will be laid out the same way, where you'll have to answer a question and then respond to 2 classmates. Your initial posts will always be due Wednesday at midnight, with your 2 reply posts Sunday at midnight. Let's see. So that's the weekly discussion. And then your activity or lab for this first week takes us to the unit activity pack section. So these are your activity packets for the entire year. And unit 1 is called The Nature of Science. So I'm going to pull that one up. This is a PDF document, so you might want to print it out, or you can convert it or write in your own answers and then upload. You can upload the file or upload pictures of your completed work. That's completely fine. We call it study guides, but this is kind of like an activity packet. So these things I do want you to fill out, but it's a way to kind of apply what you've learned in each module. And again, you'll notice that each of these activity packets takes you through all of the Unit 1 material. So you'll notice again, for this first week of class, we only get through the scientific method material. So for this first week, you can just complete section 1 and section 2. And I will go over all of this in our live class time. But then the remainder of the week the next week's week 2, module 2, we'll go through section 3, section 4, section 5 together as we go through the graphing as well. So this is kind of your lab or activity packet that you will need to submit as well. So those are all, I just took us through module 1. At the end of the module, there will be a quiz. So I kind of give you this week's, activities for module 1. And then I list again all the learning materials that you should have direct links to. I link the chapter PowerPoints. I link the textbook. There's links to those review questions on BlueKit, and I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. Unit 1 notes, the activity packets, and then the interactive notebook. And then under activities and assessments, you'll see where you can make your notes submission, where you'll do your discussion forum, and then where you'll submit your activity or lab for that week. And then when you're done with all that, I would suggest you do the quiz last, But once you get through all of these assignments, I can guarantee the quiz will be super simple, because if you do all those above activities, the quiz will be very easy. And then I wanted to show you, these are just lesson review questions on BlueKit. So BlueKit is a website that sets up question links for us. And these BlueKit question sets correspond to the sections in each unit. So for example, this is Unit 1, the nature of science. And for this first week, we're just getting through the method of science. So if you click this link, it should open up BlueKit, which you will have to create an account for. But it's really simple to create an account. And then once you're logged in, it should take you right to the question set. So once you log in, maybe keep that window open and go back and then click the link. But these are just really simple question sets to take you through some of the material that we learned if you want to review that on your own. So another way to just practice some of that information. So I'll stop there with my welcome video. I look forward to seeing you guys in either a live class or a recorded class, Mondays, 11:30 Central Time. Please let me know if you have any questions at all. And I'm looking forward to a great semester with you. Take care and God's blessings.